For more on President-elect Joe Biden's coronavirus economic relief plan, I want to bring in Gene Sperling. He is a former director of the National Economic Council and assistant to the president for economic policy under Presidents Bill Clinton and Barack Obama. Gene, thanks for being with us. So what do you make of President-elect Biden's plan to revive the U.S. economy? Could it prevent a deeper recession long term?
Oh, I think he's got it right on the mark. And I think it's not just about preventing a double-dip recession. This is about addressing the pain that is going on now, the downward cycles and devastation that could happen to tens of millions of families through gaps in their unemployment insurance, eviction, foreclosure. But also, I think you're going to see the importance of getting back to full employment as fast as possible. If there was one thing we saw from the Great Recession in 2009 is that the speed that you get back to full recovery matters a tremendous amount in reducing long-term unemployment, in reducing deep and lasting economic pain for communities. So what he's done seems so smart to me, which is one, put forward an immediate rescue plan that is big and bold and will cover the things directly related to the coronavirus crisis, both economically and public health-wise. And then second, say, while we're going to do that fast, we're going to come back as soon as possible afterwards with a more long-term plan for the rest of this first term that is about infrastructure, technology, manufacturing, the care economy. So you really are seeing a division, an immediate rescue plan where he's asking Republicans and Democrats move fast for us on behalf of the American public. And as soon as we're done, let's come up with a Build Back Better plan, which is about creating the high-wage jobs of the future that are also going to be the things we need for an economy that's more competitive and that gives people more economic dignity.
And Gene, you mentioned 2009, and President-elect Biden actually led the rollout of the Obama administration's stimulus package after that financial crisis. How is the challenge different, though, this time around?
Well, it is different. In some sense, you have the benefit of not dealing with the tremendous complexities of a financial crisis and a financial meltdown. On the other hand, you've got a public health pandemic, and you have a broader impacts on the economy from the, from the COVID crisis, from the fear, the need to shut down, the lack of confidence for people to go to stores and retail and restaurant and movie theaters. So I guess in some ways it may be slightly less complex on the economic side, but it's also broader, the impacts on small businesses, the impact on workers. I do think that for him, the fact that he was on the ground, it's really shown him some things that were important and informed this plan. A greater focus on a Made in America jobs program, the importance of getting money to state and local governments, not because you're trying to help them, just deal with their books, but what that means for teachers and firefighters and first responders, and particularly in this case for distribution of vaccines. And also just understanding the importance of every American understanding what the proposals are, understanding what the unemployment insurance is. I've worked with President-elect Biden a lot, and he always makes very clear, I don't want to say things that people who are working hard and who have to focus on raising their children and their job can't understand. You need to make it very clear. If there's unemployment insurance, if there's rental assistance, if there's eviction protection, how does it help me? How am I going to know about it? And I think the fact that he brings that kind of firsthand experience is going to be helpful, not just in the design of these policies, but how they're rolled out and how they're implemented.
Well, Gene, you're also the author of Economic Dignity, and you've argued that there is a dissonance between the people that we've praised as heroes during the pandemic, the sanitation worker, the delivery person, the grocery store cashier, and how much they're paid by society. What do you think needs to be done in terms of economic dignity? And given what we heard from the president-elect, do you think that this will be a top priority in the Biden administration?
Oh, yes. I mean, this is that moment that Martin Luther King talked about in the 1968 Memphis sanitation worker strike, where He said all labor has dignity and that someday our nation will come to realize that the sanitation worker is as important to our public health as the physician. They both have to do our jobs. That is something that Joe Biden just believes so much. It's how he was brought up. When you talk with him, he talks about the dignity and respect of workers. I quote in my book the line we've all heard him say so many times privately and publicly, that his father taught him that a job is not just about a paycheck. It's about your place in the community. It's about your dignity. It's about your ability to look your children in the eye and say things are going to be okay. Those are his words. And what that means is, and you heard him say it, if you work full time, you shouldn't be raising your family in poverty. You should be raising with dignity. You should be treated with dignity and respect. And that goes also to your rights as a worker, your ability to organize, to collectively bargain, to be able to take time off, to be with your family, to have that balance. One of the big things in this proposal that will get more attention is that he was very big on extending paid sick leave and family and medical leave. It's robust, carries all the way through September. And I don't think that's just a side issue for him. I think he looks at these things in terms of a family, a parent. Can they take time off when a parent is dying? Can they take time off?
Yes, but Gene, there is going to be a lot of pushback, though, to these ambitious Democratic plans from Republicans. In fact, there are even some people saying that they think that the economy is going to recover just fine without needing a $1.3 trillion price tag. In a virtual discussion hosted by Princeton University on Thursday, Federal Reserve Chairman Jerome Powell actually said that the U.S. could be back to pre-COVID economic levels soon. I want to play a little bit of what he had to say.
You're in a situation where we could be back to the old economic peak fairly soon and passing it, and we may bypass a lot of the damage that we were concerned about to low and moderate income people who, by the way, still have very high unemployment. But with the reopening of the service economy later this year, we hope we'll get back after that. So I would say I'm optimistic.
Gene, I'm wondering what your response is to his optimism, particularly given that nearly 1 million Americans filed for unemployment just in the first week of 2021.
Yeah, I have great respect for Chairman Powell, but we just lost 140,000 jobs. I mean, let's make this clear. We are still nearly 10 million jobs behind where we were when COVID hit. 10 million. Also, this is very much a K recovery. It hasn't been that hard on me. I consult, I work, I advise, I stay at home. But, Lael Brainerd at the Federal Reserve just said that when they looked at low-wage workers, they think the unemployment rate may be as high as 20%. That is like Great Depression levels for people in our country. You heard the president-elect say that there might be 10, 15 million people who are $5,000, $6,000, $7,000 behind in their rent. So I do believe that we can get back, but it's not automatic. It's not on automatic pilot. And it's not about just hitting abstract GDP or abstract stock market numbers. It's about, are you lifting up everybody? If we have a recovery where GDP seems okay because upper middle class people who never lost their job are spending more on vacations and restaurants, that's not good enough for Joe Biden. It certainly isn't good enough for myself. You want something that's going to lift everybody up. And the way to do that is to take action. Do not let these evictions happen. And you can't just have an eviction moratorium. You have to help people pay, not just for the renters, but for the landlords, for to prevent the negative fallout. And we are going to lose some jobs that aren't going to come back. We know several million jobs are permanently lost. That's where the second part of his proposal comes back. If we have a $1 trillion plus green infrastructure, manufacturing technology strategy, if we recognize that the care economy, care workers, child care workers are critical to our lives, they're critical in providing economic dignity to all of us, that they should be provided with economic dignity. I believe we can get there, and as he says, get back better. But the idea it happens on automatic pilot for everybody, I just couldn't disagree with more. I am optimistic if we do the right things, and I think what he's laid out is a very good, bold step forward. And Joe Biden wants to work with Republicans. He wants to get this done quickly. But remember, if they won't, he has the option to do reconciliation, where you can do a budget process and get a lot of this done. Not everything, but a lot of this done with 50 votes. That's not his goal. His goal is bipartisan and fast. But I don't think he's going to hold up getting these things done if there's just the usual partisan divide. Too many people's lives are on the line.
Gene Sperling, thank you for joining us.
Thanks for having me.